Welcome back to The Explainer. So picture this. It's 2022 and an AI website just launched. Within literally days, the entire world was completely astonished. We all know it. Chatgpt. People started asking it questions and boom, this AI responded, wrote emails, and created entire blocks of code in seconds. It totally proved the immense, sudden power of language. Today, we're exploring the next crazy evolution of that. We're going to look at how you can use a single, incredibly dense sentence as a master architectural blueprint to build an entire visual world. Now, if an AI can write code from a simple text prompt, I want you to ask yourself a much bolder question. How do you build a universe? Seriously. If you were tasked with constructing a complex, photorealistic sci-fi reality, and you had to rely on absolutely nothing but descriptive language, where would you even begin? What specific words would you choose to guarantee that the image in your head perfectly matches the reality you're trying to render? It actually requires a completely different way of thinking about sentence structure. Okay, let's dive into this massive quote. I just want you to absorb the sheer density of this source text for a second. Astronaut exploring an unknown alien planet with glowing mountains, giant planets in the sky, futuristic spaceship landing, cinematic wide shot, realistic space environment, epic adventure, volumetric lighting, ultra detailed, 8K. Wow, right? This isn't just a random string of thoughts. It is a highly precise recipe for an AI image generator. Literally every single comma separates a specific instruction meant to sculpt a visual masterpiece. Section 1, the sci-fi blueprint. Deconstructing the elements. And this brilliantly illustrates the concept of a layered blueprint. We can actually break that overwhelming sentence down into 3 distinct columns. First, we separate the raw actors, our subjects like the astronaut and the spaceship. Next is the environmental canvas they exist within. And finally, we have the modifiers. That's your cinematic polish and technical specs that give the scene its texture. By compartmentalizing the text this way, it stops being this messy jumble of words and suddenly becomes a structured engineering schematic.
Section 2, setting the stage, actors and action.
So the crucial point here is that we begin with movement and arrival. Just look at the verbs, exploring and landing. Before we even know what this world looks like, we already have a story. An astronaut is taking their very first tentative steps to explore, while right behind them, a futuristic spaceship is actively touching down. This anchors us instantly. We aren't just staring at some static landscape, we're dropped right into the middle of an unfolding event. Section 3, the canvas, building the alien world. Now, by slowing down and layering in these specific environmental details, the text fundamentally alters our sense of scale. We're on an unknown alien planet, which instantly sparks this feeling of isolation and discovery. But then we add glowing mountains and massive giant planets in the sky. Do you see what that does? It establishes a mood of immense, mysterious scale. The environment is vast, maybe a little bit intimidating, but undeniably gorgeous, and it's wrapped entirely in a realistic space environment. These words demand that the impossible feels completely tangible. Section 4, lighting and camera work, directing the eye. Now, what's really interesting about this next layer is how the text entirely stops describing physical objects and starts acting as a camera director. The source text literally says cinematic wide shot. By invoking this specific cinematography term, the blueprint forces the mind, or, the rendering engine, to zoom way, way out. It intentionally shrinks our astronaut down to a mere speck in the frame to really emphasize the true, awe-inspiring size of those glowing mountains and giant planets we just established. And then we have the lighting instruction, volumetric lighting. This isn't just telling the AI to make it bright. Volumetric lighting is a highly specific visual technique. I want you to imagine shafts of light physically piercing through the alien atmosphere. Think about how those light beams would interact with the dust and debris being kicked up by that landing spaceship. It creates some seriously striking drama and gives the air itself a thick, breathable texture. And tucked right in the middle of all these technical visual instructions is the simple, evocative phrase, epic adventure. This acts as a crucial emotional filter for the whole scene. Think about it. If you just have a tiny astronaut, giant glowing mountains, and heavy, foggy lighting, the scene could easily feel dark, isolating, or even terrifying. But the words epic adventure dictate the tone. They ensure that all those dramatic camera angles and lighting choices feel heroic, sweeping, and inspiring, rather than a scene straight out of a sci-fi horror movie. Section 5, the final polish, resolution and realism. Let's move to the final stage and notice how this builds into highly technical instructions that give the scene its final hyper-realistic texture. Ultra detailed, 8K. These aren't just descriptive adjectives in the traditional literary sense, they are hard rendering terms. They're demanding a photorealistic, incredibly high-resolution finish, making sure we paint every single jagged rock on that mountain and every metallic panel on the spaceship with absolutely crystal clarity. This truly represents a mental order of operations. It shows exactly how we systematically build a sprawling, complex visual from just a few carefully chosen words. First, we hang the giant planets in the sky to set the backdrop. Second, we land the futuristic ship to bring action into the frame. Third, we flood the scene with that volumetric lighting for atmosphere. And finally, we sharpen the entire thing into an ultra-detailed 8K reality. Section 6. The Power of Description. Constructing reality. It's pretty clear that this one sentence accomplished a massive amount of heavy lifting. Epic scale is firmly established. Realistic rendering isn't just requested, it's specifically demanded. Immersive, photorealistic detail is achieved. Our ultimate takeaway here is that this wasn't just a random list of cool sci-fi words thrown into a blender. It was a highly structured, intentional blueprint that successfully built a vivid, living environment you can practically step right into. Which leaves us with a final thought for you to ponder. We are living in an era where machines can instantly render our imaginations. So, the next time you're trying to explain a complex idea, or you want to bring your own creative vision to life, what precise vocabulary will you choose? What kind of world will your words describe? The blueprint is in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.